Welcome to another project for the Celebrating Women class to go. I'm Maria. In this video tutorial, I will show you how to make this lovely 3D box, which is made by altering a pizza box. And in the box, there are 4 note cards, 2 of each pattern, and coordinating envelopes, which are also decorated. And I will show you how to do that. Now, as I mentioned, it is an altered pizza box, mini pizza box, and this is what it looks like when it is not put together. And when it is put together, this is what it looks like. So let's get going decorating it. Now, all the dimensions for the cardstock and the designer paper will be in the PDF with your class kit, as well as in the description of this video. And we're going to start by decorating the lid. And I've put the sample card box beside so that you can keep track of what I'm doing. And I'm going to take some Tombow glue, or you could use your favorite glue. I'm using Tombow throughout this video. And I'm just putting it on the designer paper, which is the Fine Arts designer paper, which is the paper used for all of the projects of this class. And I'm adhering it to some Mary Merlot cardstock. And I'm going to put that right on the lid of the pizza box. I just find Tombow glue a little bit easier to work with. It has a little bit of give and take, so that if you don't get it down right the first time, you can just move it around. Now, for the rest of the box, if you find it easier to close the box, I certainly did, okay, for the remainder of the lid, I've die cut a circle with the stitched circle dies with gold foil. And I'll put that down next. And then there's a white, whisper white circle, again using the same die set, which is a little bit smaller than the gold foil one. Now there's also a flower on the lid as well, but I'm not going to show you how to do that just yet. I'm going to show you how to decorate the sides first. And at the end of the video, I will show you how to do the flower. Now, I've decorated 3 of the sides of the box already, and the 4th one, you'll find little strips of designer paper and cardstock, and you just adhere the designer paper to the cardstock, and then just put it on the side of the pizza box. Now, you'll be doing all 4 sides. I've done 3 already. There, that's the box decorated. And we're going to start on decorating the envelopes and the note cards. Now, the note cards, I've had to cut myself because they are not in the catalog. And I used Whisper White cardstock, and each note card is 3 by 6. I started with a piece of 3 by 6 and scoring it in half and making a 3 by 3 card. Now, 2 of the cards are decorated by a strip down the side, matted, designer paper matted with cardstock, with a gold foil strip next to it. The other 2 have a triangle, cardstock and designer paper. So here I am just kind of searching for the little pieces. There we go. So we'll take the designer paper and adhere it to the cardstock, and then adhere it to the front of the note card. Now I've done the other note card with the same design, just for the sake of time. Like I said, I'm using Tombow glue throughout this video. And there we go. I like to open up the note cards so that I can see where the score line is. And now I'm just adding a little bit of Tombow to this 1/8 of an inch strip of gold foil. You don't need much glue. You don't want to add too much because then it'll spill over the ends and you have kind of a sticky front on the card. Now there will be some gold foil sticking out over the edge of the card. We'll just I'll snip that off later. I just like to let the gold foil dry a little bit. Now the sentiment is on a piece of die cut, which it's die cut with one of the dies from the that goes with the stamp set. And I've already stamped the sentiment, which is a thank you, and I've put it on the front of the note card. So that one is done. So now I'm going to do the other note card, which has the triangles on it. Now to do the triangle, I start with the square, and I cut it in half diagonally. And I do the same for the designer paper. And then I adhere the designer paper to the cardstock and then add that to the front of the note card. Now, as I mentioned, the note cards are not available in the catalog, so they will be cut for you for your kit. So they're 3x3 note cards, but the envelopes are in the catalog, and so you will have them in your kit. Now the piece of gold foil strip is a little bit longer than the one for the other pattern note card, and I always cut a little bit longer than I need, rather than thinking I have the right length and then putting it on and I find, oh, I'm too short at one end. I'd rather cut it a little bit longer, and then after the glue is dried, then I will snip the excess off. Okay, now to snip off the excess, I turn the card over to the wrong side, and using my paper snips, I just snip off the excess. There we go. Well, that card is done. And now we'll take the other note card and turn it over, and I'll snip off the excess gold foil as well. Now I wanted to show you how I stamped the sentiment on these little die cut pieces. It's not as hard as what you would think, and I've put it on the remaining triangle of the Mary Merlot cardstock so that you could see it a little bit better. And I'm using black memento ink, and I just stamped the sentiment directly on the little die cut, and now I'm adhering it to the front of the note card. I have done all the other note cards, so now we have 4 note cards, 2 of the strips and 2 of the triangles. Now we're going to decorate the envelope. I'm just going to decorate 1 of them. I've done the other 3, and you want to cut a piece of designer paper that extends maybe a 1/2 inch off of both ends and a 1/2 inch beyond the front. And you just add some Tombow to the lid, the envelope lid, and add the straight line of the designer paper next to the crease of the envelope. And then on the wrong side, take your paper snips and cut the excess off. That's an easy way to decorate and get a wow factor from the envelopes, whether it's with a mini note card or a regular A2 card, or whichever size card you are using. It's just a great way to decorate your envelopes. So there we have 4 envelopes decorated and 4 note cards. They make a beautiful gift to give to someone who's important in your life, or you might want to keep it yourself. So there we go. Now I want to show you how to decorate or how to stamp that flower that's on the front of the lid. And it's not as hard as what you would think. And I'm just going to bring over my supplies. And I'm going to use ink pads. I'm going to use daubers. I'm going to use spritzers. And I'm going to use my trusty stamparatus. Now you'll notice when I bring out the stamparatus that I have my silicone sheet in there, and that helps just to keep the paper a little steadier, and I find that the stamping image is a little cleaner. So I already have the stamp in there, and it is a one image flower, so I suppose you could just stamp it with one color and then you've got the leaves the same color as well. But I like the watercolor look of this technique. And what I'm going to do is I've got two colors of ink, a light color and a dark. The light is Blushing Bride, and I'm taking my finger dauber and applying the ink to it, and then I'm using the dauber and applying ink directly to the flower on the stamp. And you can apply it to the entire flower or just the top part of the flower. And you just make sure that you thoroughly cover the flower. You can put as much as you want or as little as you want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz the stamp with some water, and I'm going to put a paper towel to protect my work, as water doesn't stay where you want it to. We'll give it one light spray, remove the paper towel, and stamp. And there we go, the first watercolor image. Doesn't look like much right now, but just wait. And without cleaning your stamp, you're going to take your darker color, which in this case is Mary Merlot, and picking up my dauber, I'm going to apply this to the bottom part of the card, or the flower, sorry. If I were doing this again, I would put something lighter underneath the lid of the stamparatus so that you could see the color going on the stamp a little better. But I think you get the idea. You just put some on the bottom part of the flower. Now again, we're going to spritz. But cover your work first. And stamp. Now wait for it. Wait for it. There. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Well, maybe not just yet, but we got it. We have to do the rest of the flower. Now I'm going to clean my stamp. And I'm going to just turn my paper around. And you're thinking, what is she doing? Okay, I'm shifting it so that I want to stamp just the stem and the leaves. There, I think I've got it. Okay, now here you can do it two different ways. One, you can take your ink pad and put it directly on the stem and leaves, but I'm using the finger dauber and old olive ink, and I'm just going to dab the ink directly onto the stamp and the little stems with the little fellas on it. Or you could use a marker and put it directly onto the stem and leaves as well. You can do that for the flower portion as well. Now I'm spritzing again, and now I'm stamping. And that's it. I just wanted the leaves and the stem. Now I'm going to take the die. It's a single die, and I'm going to die cut. And with the miracle of video, here come the die cuts, and there will be two of them. One of them has the flowers, but the bottom part is not colored. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to cut off. I know I'm cutting off the bottom part, the stem and the leaves. And the second image, I'm going to cut half of the flower, the big one, and half of the little one. Okay, now here's where the magic comes. I'm going to take some Tombow glue and put it on the remainder of the flower that I didn't cut off, and apply the flower to it. There we go. Now, I would have preferred to have a bit more color on those little fellas down there, and you could probably take a marker or something and apply some color. Now, what I've done as well, if you happen to have like a darker marker, I've used Blackberry Bliss here, and I just add some little dark areas in the center of the flowers. And I'll just put a little bit on those little guys and give them a little color. Okay, couldn't resist putting a little color on with the Blushing Bride dauber. Didn't do the greatest job, but anyway, there you have the flower for the lid of the box. I'll just move it aside, and we will put it on. We'll bring the box back, and we'll put some dimensionals on the back of the flower. And I've already got one prepared, and I like to use my little pokey tool to take the coverings off the dimensionals. It's a very satisfying feeling to poke those little covers off. This is one tool that I have in my hands all the time. It's just so useful for so many things. There, we put it on the lid. And the next thing is I made a little bow with the gold trim, which is from the greenery pack in the annual catalog, and I'm going to add it with a little glue dot. And again, I'll use my pokey tool. That's probably not the name for it, but... And I'll put a glue dot down. And there we go. Now, one last thing before we're done is we're going to put these lovely gilt gems. They're probably one of my favorite embellishments. And you know, with embellishments, you add odd numbers. So I'm going to put 3. Not 2, but 3. It's either 1, 3, 5, 7. The reason for that is if you put 2, your eye will search for the 3rd. Don't ask me why. But anyway, just remember that's a rule of thumb. Anyway, there you have the box. It's decorated. You have 4 note cards in it and envelopes. It's a wonderful gift to give to someone who is important in your life. Or like I said, you might want to keep it yourself. So have fun making this project, and thank you for registering with the class to go.